The show is ready to start. Thank you for noticing. Okay, it is 4 o'clock. So we're going to go ahead and start our study session. We have a really exciting agenda for study session today. First up, we're going to hear from Frank Pulley. He's going to talk about some potential options for construction, ATEC West, and then I think we're talking about Transportation West as well. Sorry, you don't have to stand up, Frank. You're good. And then after that, we'll hear from the Westlake Cluster Performing Arts Group. We're very excited to hear from all of you about that. And then we're excited to also hear from Principal John Emmett, who was recently named the principal of the new elementary school in Eagle Mountain, because he's going to talk about name options to make us aware that will be an ASD vote. But we're excited that he's going to be here today to share options so that we're aware of that. So thank you. So Frank, this is your show. Hey, can I ask you a really quick favor before we start?
Yes.
Will you, at some point, whether it's now or later, send me this presentation so I can distribute it to the rest of the board as well? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Sorry.
You're good.
I should have sent it to you beforehand, but yes. Yep, I will send it to you as soon as I'm done. Thank you, President King, for the opportunity to share some options for ATEC West. So I'm going to start with option A, and to make sure we discussed about a potential addition onto our Horizon facility. So as you can see outlined, the non-colored section of this image that you're seeing is Horizon School. This first option shows an addition of, I think there's 10 classrooms, 12 classrooms total off the back side of the school for many of the things that you shared earlier with classroom space, storage space, restrooms with changing table facilities, and the ability to, whether it's an electric lift style changing table or whether that's some type of a hoist, there's ample space within inside these restrooms to be able to do that. They also double as just a regular set of student restrooms, knowing that not all students have that accommodation, so they function as both. As you can see here in the back portion is kind of the changing facility, shower area in case that is needed, and then the front part of that being the student restroom section. Multi-purpose space here is part of that, as well as a couple of larger classrooms, about 1,200 square feet. Before I had visited with you and got information that they just needed to be a regular classroom size, we thought maybe they were kind of more of a mini shop type of a space with screen printing for t-shirts and engraving and stuff. But afterwards, these certainly could be reduced down, but they are a larger type of space.
So Frank, sorry, just to clarify. So the 1,200 square foot spaces, the two larger ones, those are the ones that we could use for work sites. We specifically talked about the t-shirt printing and the framing and engraving, but those two classrooms would specifically be work sites at the location.
Work site. I would see these as, whether it's kind of like a STEM lab or things like that, where it's just an open ceiling, you could put drop cords in it, just more of a shop style kind of an environment where you could it could be flexible for lots of different activities, stuff in there and different projects, whether that's t-shirts or engraving, or even if you wanted to have multiple things in there, you absolutely could do that. Easily.
And so to clarify, when you were doing the classroom count, when you said are there 10 classrooms and then the 2 work sites, because you said there were 12.
Yeah. So
but I'm wondering if you're counting the work sites as classroom spaces.
No, so there's 10 regular classrooms, and then 2 larger work site style classrooms for a total of 12.
Okay.
And he said 8 to 10 classrooms in the initial request, but I wasn't sure if those were those work classrooms were part of that 8 to 10, or if it was 8 to 10 regular classrooms plus these rooms. So either way, if you didn't need them, they could easily be taken off, and you could go down to 10 classrooms, or they could be left and kept the 12.
And just to clarify, you talked about how the larger space is about 1,200 square feet.
Yep.
The smaller ones, are they about 1,000, 1,100?
800.
800 square feet.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we just kind of modeled that off of other ATEC classrooms, our facility in American Fork. So slightly smaller than, say, a full-size classroom in an elementary school, but we would consider it a full-size classroom. Also, just some other spaces to know, we talked about an apartment space, and I know we had mentioned about, could we capture that commercial kitchen in the Horizon side? Our thought behind that is that is a really expensive space that's set up as a commercial kitchen. We wondered if that would be better suited to leave that set up as a commercial kitchen. Could that also be another work site type of a setting for kids to be able to go in and learn if they were to happen to work in a restaurant type of a setting and things of that nature? Or could it just be used for other things at the school as a commercial kitchen setup with walk-in fridges and freezers that maybe you could just do some fun things versus pulling all of that expense out just to repurpose for a department or for an apartment area? We feel like it's cheaper to add on than to renovate that commercial kitchen into something different. And I know you mentioned that they had, still gonna need an area to serve lunch and stuff out of. So part of it still needs to be maintained as a kitchen for sanitary purposes to serve and stuff out of. So that, we didn't really touch that, just in transparency behind it. We didn't feel like that was the best thing to do cost-wise. But if you really wanted that to be renovated, absolutely it could be renovated into that, but you would be giving away a lot of expensive setup in there.
Yeah, I think you know me well enough, Frank, to know that
Yeah.
I'm not going to go the more expensive route. But thank you for
Yep.
putting that in there.
Wellness room that's here. We talked about, needing for a small seclusion space. So really kind of capturing everything that was asked for in the request. This option does take into this consideration of putting a front office up here at the front of the building where the current front doors are. I'm going to show you another option that puts this more back into the ATEC facility. But I just wanted to show that is, would it need to be at the front of the school, or could the office setting be back into the ATEC space?
So just to clarify that, Frank, that would take existing Horizon classroom space, correct? So would it be, what, 2 classrooms?
Yep, it is. It's 2 classrooms that
Classrooms.
you would be taking. So you'd have to capture a couple of classrooms in the new section to replace those in the Horizon facility.
Okay.
Okay. This is one. So the current Horizon front office is right. I don't know if you can see, but this area that I'm zoomed in, that's their front office. And so just thinking through, is this important to be at the front doors of the school for the office for ATEC? Is it more important for their office to be more connected, maybe where their classroom spaces are? Not sure the interaction between how much public interaction with the office and then how much is it more students on site that they interact with the office. I will, after I get done showing this option, I'll go to the next slide that will show the site layout so you can kind of see where this lays on the site. But I wanted to start with kind of the internal stuff and see if there's any questions, and then I'll show you the site. Good? So this is where this addition would sit in relation to the site. So it takes up some playground. We would have to relocate the all accessible playground and build a new one. But this also takes into consideration adding additional parking, 72 additional parking stalls here for the Horizon ATEC program. It's probably really needed now more than anything. Okay. Here is that same concept, putting the administrative office area back in to the ATEC, or assuming this would be the new ATEC part of the building. So setting up their front office space here. This is able to give them all of the asks for what they wanted in the front office with the office space, the conference room, a break room, little teacher workroom. That first option, it's limited. It would be meaning sharing the break room that Horizon already has in their front office and the teacher workroom in their front office. So same type of layout. We did, because of this is taking up some of that classroom space, you can see these classrooms here at the back. We shrunk those down and made them just regular sized classrooms, and they become part of the regular classroom count. 8 new classrooms, and then 2 classrooms are the work site classrooms, but all the other same spaces are there. Again, the site stays the same, the footprint doesn't change.
So Frank, just to clarify, the way that you've got it designed, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the building attaches directly to Horizon. There's no gap, there's no breezeway, it just attaches directly.
Yep.
So if I am an ATech West student or parent, I am walking through, like I'm coming in the main doors on the south end of Horizon, walking at the end of the hallway, and then, you know, basically Horizon ends, ATech West begins, almost like a separate wing.
Yes.
Would that be the best way to describe that?
Yes.
Okay.
We could separate it if you wanted to just to have a breezeway, very similar to how the breezeway, I mean, it's brick and mortar, but the breezeway between Thunder Ridge and Horizon, you know, there's
That hallway, yeah.
separation. You certainly could detach it a little bit that way if you wanted some more separation for it. And I want to point out here at this, in this front office setting, this could be flipped, saying mirrored over so that reception is here by these outside doors, and that certainly could be the main entrance coming into.
So that potentially gives
West.
you access, like off of where the parking lot would be, is that you access through like the east side of the building,
Yes.
essentially.
Yes, it would. And I can show you if you look at this site plan here. Yeah, so here's your parking lot, and this hallway, you know, it would be right around about, you know, right here is kind of where those doors would be coming in. So either way, right?
Okay.
That office could flip and mirror over and give you that option if you wanted to. The only challenge with back there in the back, certainly not going to be able to accommodate buses dropping off out
Right.
back. So buses are always going to need to drop off out front in the main loop, as there's just not enough space. Well, there is, but you'd have to eliminate a lot of parking out back. And I think it would be best for the buses to be able to use the loop. And at the end, I'll show you an option to even increase that loop to accommodate more buses than what it currently does. That was another kind of one of the requests. But I don't see that being an option out back unless we really get aggressive with taking out more play field to make that kind of possible.
Eileen, did you have a comment?
Yeah, Frank, that plan looks like to me, and one of the concerns of ATech was that they would feel like a separate school. And to me, this looks like they could have their own parking lot, they could have their own entrance, and that could be back there. However, if the kids are being dropped off up front, it's just one main hallway back to them, correct?
It is. So you can see here's the front doors right here, the school, and it's a straight walk right back to the connection here onto ATech.
It doesn't even pass any classrooms.
No. Not where any doorways for classrooms,
Yeah.
no, because the classroom doorways are off here to the side. So you'd be passing through the main office of Horizon, you know, past the gym and some storage and restrooms and into ATech. And certainly we could look at putting in, I'll call them control doors or security doors, if you wanted to make sure there was separation from ATech student body as well as, you know, Horizon student body. We have a similar type situation with our alternative school between Polaris and Summit, where they're connected, but they want to keep them separated. But they do share some spaces like the lunchroom. But there are control doors in hallways that require, you know, a key card or card access credentials to go through. If somebody goes through it without, you know, scanning their badge, it's actually alarmed. And so there's an alarm that goes off until you scan your credentials to turn off the alarm. So it would give notification that, hey, somebody's entered into this space that's not supposed to be there.
My question would be, I think I would be in favor of having a separate entrance, just knowing that population services are coming from appointments or different things in terms of pulling a student out or whatever. I think less disruption of both schools would make sense, and also convenience for those services coming in and out. That would be my preference, having a separate entrance.
Yeah. And like I said, it absolutely can do that. This main entrance right here by this front office, we can make it so it has an outward appearance of a main entrance stuff. The only chat would just be for the transportation at the beginning and the end of the day. But I feel like that's an easy thing to navigate at the start and the end of the day. But any parents, auxiliary services, any of those people coming specifically for ATEC could pull in the parking lot in the back, come into the main entrance into the ATEC school, and wouldn't have to walk through the Horizon space at all, or even end up even going into that space. This is a fully 100% self-contained space with its own restrooms. It can support itself without really ever needing to get into Horizon. And even if you wanted to, you could even, if you wanted to have a serving area or something like that for this multi-purpose room, you absolutely that where meals are brought to their multi-purpose room and to Horizon's multi-purpose room. It would just take a little bit of modification, but easily could be accommodated.
I'm noticing there's no kitchen in this. Is the thinking that we're going to still have Thunder Ridge do?
I would assume so. Just usually nutritional services, just economy of scale. There's so few students here that it just makes more sense financially. And I know Buffy's here; she could probably speak to it better. But to prepare 100 or 200 meals makes more sense to do it at another location. I know they do it for Dan Peterson. They run that out of Baird Elementary in American Fork.
Thunder Ridge is doing it currently
Thunder Ridge
for Horizon.
does it for Horizon, so pretty common practice. But again, if you didn't want to do that, I mean, certainly you still have your commercial kitchen here at Horizon that if there's enough need or demand, it certainly could be turned back in and fully operational as its own nutritional service manager to do meals specifically for Horizon and an ATEC program.
Awesome, thank you.
Probably not ATEC, probably like
LTEC
or something. Lake
there will be a
Mountain.
renaming of it, but it's not going to be tech or whatever.
Okay. Okay.
I think we're going to work real hard to come up with something different.
All right. So here's a third option. We talked about filling in this space that's kind of between Horizon and Thunder Ridge. That's just kind of a little alcove of what that could possibly be. And so it really works well for a multi-purpose space, and you can see it's about the same size as what the multi-purpose space is in Horizon. Adds a couple classrooms and some storage space and stuff there. And then again, this area on the backside where the original addition was, it shrinks down and takes up less space off of the playground or blacktop area. But again, all of the same amenities here. You're a little bit disjointed in that some things are over here and some things over here. You could look at maybe swapping spaces with Horizon. Maybe this Horizon gym becomes more of the ATEC gym and this space over here becomes more Horizon. You just don't have to think through that.
So Frank, you haven't said the thing that I always ask you about, which is
Awesome.
What does it cost? Option A, B, C.
Yeah.
That's always the question I'm going to
Yeah.
ask.
Certainly option A and B is going to be the least expensive out of these first three. And let me tell you why. Square footage wise, they're almost identical, around 19,000 square feet of additional square footage to be added onto Horizon. But anytime you're coming into an existing space like this alcove, not only do I got to touch the Horizon facility to tie it in, but I've also got to deal with it butting up to the Thunder Ridge exterior wall and making sure I have, proper separation for building code and fire protection standpoint. It would take away these outside windows to the classrooms of Thunder Ridge. It would bury those rooms and make them have no windows. We could certainly go in and put
Skylights.
skylights in there, but just skylights are not the same as outside windows for sure. So this is going to be a more expensive option versus just a clean, addition, because and again, if we wanted to separate it with a breezeway, it even becomes simpler, because then it maintains these outside windows in these classrooms for Horizon, and then it just becomes a standalone building, one tie-in point to the corridor, and that's it.
So what's the number? Frank, I was going to let you off the hook. I mean,
I would plan on somewhere between $400 to $450 a square foot. And if you want me to, I can pull out my calculator.
no, I don't need you to do the calculator. I can do the math while you're
If I'm
talking.
doing the math, I think it's right around 8 million, 8.5 million, somewhere right in there. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's pretty close to that. And when I say that number, I'm taking into consideration, that includes the site, for the parking lot. This is not just the building. I think also, Julie, we could really talk about how we would want to finish the inside. If you go into Horizon, it's a very heavy masonry type building, even on the interior. I don't think you would necessarily need to do that in here. You could certainly frame it, sheetrock it. We could do a wainscot of tile up, say 4 or 5 feet, which could reduce the cost. It also keeps the space more flexible if you want to change it in the future versus trying to remove masonry walls. Now you're just removing studs and sheetrock to adjust it if their program needs change. So I think there's some things you can do. The other thing, rather than trying to tie this into the central plant mechanical system in that here, upsizing that, and we would recommend we just put rooftop units on here. We get a good 15 to 20 year lifespan out of those, and we have a lot of them throughout the school district, and they provide great heating and cooling in our schools. So that could.
So you said option C was going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
So is it difference per square foot, or is it just because of the complication with that kind of weird cutout between Horizon and Thunder Ridge? Is it just going to change that piece of it?
I think so. I think I think you're just going to add the complexity to it. I mean, I start to wonder if it's a clean addition, can we get it below, could we tip below that 400 mark if we get creative on how we finish the inside of it, the type of mechanical systems we're doing, do we full masonry it, around the outside walls, just to keep the match look to Horizon so it looks like it's part of the school. And on the inside, we work to tie it in, but it has its own kind of look and feel and stuff to it. I think you're down more in the, low 400s, if not 400, whereas I think this more complex, you're going to be pushing, 425, maybe into the 450 range, just because it's small and a lot of tie-ins and complexity behind it.
So I know you talked about option A and B were 19,000 square feet. Is the option C 19,000 square feet as well?
19.3.
19.3.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have a fourth option, option D. Just so you can see what this looks like on the site, so you know where that's at.
While you pull that up, is there a way to relocate the playground into the little alcove space?
Over here?
Yeah, because you said that was a more expensive version of the remodel,
Yeah.
but maybe the playground space goes there and doesn't take away from the other playground space above.
Yeah, I think it very well could. One thing to consider when you put the building, knowing that playground most of the time would be shaded, which sometimes part of the year it would be awesome, but for the majority of the school year, having it be in the shade, it's going to be cold. And in inclement weather, the snow and stuff may not melt off of it, so it would be inaccessible. Just to think through that. But it could, Matt, it absolutely could. You could put it there. This is that, putting that office back up here to the front. It's putting a larger multi-purpose room here. instead of the smaller multi-purpose room and the couple classrooms. And then it has the classrooms here in the back.
And just to clarify, Frank, you, like, if we ended up going with, we decided to pursue one of these options, you really need a couple of months for the architectural, all the pieces, and then about a year for a build. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, 2 to 3 months for architecture and a year to build.
Do we have any other additional questions for Frank on this one? Okay.
Oh, just a comment that, we've asked, thanks for coming in and bringing all these ideas. We are looking at all options. So, the Horizon tie-in works because the Horizon facility is just larger than average. I think we're just above, is it 16 acres?
Yeah.
At Thunder Ridge. Yeah, so the property just allows for the space, and then there's some, what we didn't necessarily cover here is like OTPT in the back of the Horizon build isn't used every day, and so there's potential to do some shared spaces there, and just have service providers come in off days depending on the usage. But we are looking at other sites and other options, and considering, everything really.
Yeah. Yeah, and if there's something else different after seeing this, if you want us to,
Yeah.
hey, what would this look like? What if you tweak this or did that? Just let us know. We're happy to adjust it. If you want us to drop this footprint on another site or something, we certainly can do that. I mean, it can be billed. It really is a standalone facility.
Right.
You can have it attached to Horizon. You don't have to. It can stand on its own if you want it to
Okay.
somewhere else.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm just going to show this option for just some additional parking. We talked about, potentially the need for additional bus. So one is to kind of make a double bus loop here and eliminate, this parking that's right along this curb so that you could not only run buses up against the curb here next to the school and sidewalk, but also you could do a second layer of buses here. At that point, we would come here and put in what we call a tabletop crosswalk. Where it's a big hump, yep, so it's smooth coming across. You're not in a wheelchair having to go down and then back up. You get off, drop them off on the sidewalk, and it's just a straight shot right into the school. Okay? So I wasn't sure what the busing needs and stuff are, but I'm assuming obviously it's going to be more than what's at Horizon currently. And then with this, we looked at coming over here because you lose 25 stalls taking and creating this bus loop here.
Frank, can you clarify? So I know that a lot of times we try and stack buses, but I also know that that's really tough. And this one in particular is very tight. Marie Way, I mean, like obviously the Google Maps is showing like cars parked along Marie Way. And when we have parents show up to pick up kids from Thunder Ridge, a lot of times that street gets completely blocked and then the buses have a hard time pulling out. So I guess my question is, with the current loop and then potentially adding a second loop, do you have any sense of like how many buses we can stack? Because I don't know that there's enough space to, like, I know like, for example, in the middle schools a lot and the high schools, like they'll park diagonal to get more of them in there. But because this space is so tight, I'm wondering if there's even an option to do that. So I'm wondering, do you have any sense how many buses we could get with the double loop?
I don't, but I can model. We
Okay.
can model it for you. Sorry, I didn't.
No, that's
Model
fine. And
that,
it just
but-
popped into my head. So it's not like I asked you for the information.
And I think if buses are having a hard time getting out of here, the one thing that we could do is also these approaches coming in. We could look at widening them out so that it keeps cars back further, so it's
Okay.
easier for buses to pull in and out without having cars so tight to the entrance and exits. I think the other thing that helps here by adding 72 parking spaces back here in the back, hopefully gets a lot of those cars off the street. And we also, in conjunction with this, come over here to Thunder Ridge and add some additional parking here, and then also add some 45-degree angle parking cutting into this grass on this side of the road to add some more parking along there just to help get all of those cars. Hey, can we get them off the main street and have them park actually on campus and not even have a need, that there's always just plenty of parking if I show up here on this particular site. So if you do that, you would, basically you're almost at 122 new parking stalls would be added in that scenario. And then 25 would be removed.
I was just thinking back to the presentation last week, our last meeting on transportation, where they wanted to do 3 waves. You could actually put Thunder Ridge in one block, ATEC in one block, and Horizon in one
Oh,
block.
you mean separate them by like one's at 45,
145, 45, and that would also alleviate as much of a need coming
The
in.
overlap.
Yeah, so they would be in the 3 different tracks. And then that would also put some distance in students' minds that they're not part of Horizon, they're part of a different program. Because they know that that's that concern of, I've graduated and now I'm back on the same site. But if you put that breezeway and then on 3 different tracks, it would feel like a different school.
Okay. You ready to switch gears to?
Yes, all the things, Frank, all the things. Go for it.
Okay, here is a look at Transportation West and what the thought process about can it expand and increase. So one of the things for sure in an increased capacity would be more, employee parking, which this contemplates. And this was part of the original plan for the West Service Center. We just added to it. This also takes into consideration, you got 4 canopies right now, and each one of those canopies parks 30 buses. So this option right here would give the capacity for 180 buses. And if I remember right, I think your count's about 160.
I want to say that's
Yeah.
right.
Or right about there. Okay, so gives you enough capacity for 180, so it's a little bit of growth. And then this right here represents an 8-bay bus garage. The one that was originally designed was 6. Certainly, it's pretty cheap space just to build because it's just open shop. The expense is what's inside of it and the tools and the lifts and that type of stuff. Not that the building's free, but it's relatively, if you wanted to build it and keep some of it as just a shell and be able to grow into it, absolutely you could. You could build, right now it's designed as 6 bays. You don't necessarily have to outfit all of those 6 bays if you didn't want to. If you wanted to only do 4 or 2, it would have to be redesigned to take that into consideration. But we actually contemplated when we did the initial 6 as an expansion to be able to grow into 8. So the original design is already set up with that kind of in mind, that it maybe one day would grow into 8.
So is the building that one's designed for, does it mimic what the current brick and mortar is for Transportation West, or is this like a metal building?
It could be either or. We designed it originally as a metal building, but it certainly could be a masonry building if you wanted it to be a masonry building as well.
Changes the price dramatically.
Potentially could change the price point.
So how much is the building?
Well, and can you do masonry front so that it faces the street and the community, so it's consistent visually, but then that doesn't necessarily have to be 4 walls that way.
Yeah, so right now the bay doors are located here on the east side of it.
Yeah.
Mainly because we don't want the bay doors to face to the north. During the winter months, it's not good. And this just kind of gives us the most space for buses to navigate coming in and out of the service center. But it certainly could maybe adjust the orientation on the site. We just have to play around with it a little bit more, but it certainly is a possibility. When this bid, it's been, I think, 4 years ago.
It was $15 million 4 years ago, right?
No. I went back and looked. We were 6.5 million then.
So what are we projecting it is now?
I would add 10% a year for inflation. So I think that puts you roughly 8, I think, 7, 8, I think is about what it is.
And is that's the building and what's in the building? Or is that just the building?
Well, that included that there are 3 bus lifts that we own that are just sitting there brand new.
So you're saying,
Deal.
so the 3 bus lifts have been kind of pre-ordered with the anticipation that this is going to happen.
Yeah, so when we were getting ready to build this, because of the lead time on the bus lift, we had to place that order early, and then the build got canceled. So the lifts are in place. I mean, we have them. I mean, they're literally just new. They've been sitting inside in our warehouse, in facilities, just in storage.
Are you trying to make me happy, Frank?
Hey, we come bearing gifts.
You didn't bring them with you, though.
They're quite
They're in the
large
truck.
and quite heavy.
Okay, so potentially 3 lifts.
And these are in-ground lifts, okay? These are
Okay.
spec'd by transportation at the time. They're the same in-ground lifts that they have at the American Fork Service Center, right? They've just been sitting and waiting for a place. So there's 3 of them. So 3 out of the 6 bays were designed with these in-ground lifts. One of the bays was designed for portable bus lifts that go on the bus tires and stuff and pick it up. The other bay was designed for just a regular 2-post lift for like cars for driver's education and those type of things, or smaller. And then the 6th bay was designed as a bus wash. So it really has everything that the American Fork Service Center has. It's just got 2 less bays. But it's set up that you could add those 2 bays either now or in the future if you wanted to. You wouldn't necessarily have to put in the bus wash if you didn't. Like I said, that's all just additional equipment and expense, but you could certainly build the bay.
Does the number of bays you describe service the number of buses we're going to have?
Well, I would think so, because we have over 300 and we're servicing them out of 6, 7 bays now.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So
Thank you.
I think you should be fine.
Did you really just do a 6-7 thing now?
I did. Intentional.
Okay, stop. All the teachers are just like, I'm just like, no.
Just thinking that, actually. The junior high.
Frank, is that parking in the back,
Up here,
yeah,
yes, it would be new parking that we would need to add. Yep. Yep, new parking we need to add. So that's kind of the service center bus canopies. But the other part of this is, potentially bringing facilities and warehouse on this campus as well. This adds a little bit of parking, some additional parking up here towards the front. This is a warehouse facility that represents a little over 27,000 square feet, which, just for perspective, that's the size of our warehouse in Linden minus that surplus section. Okay, so we kind of cut that off. So it's just a straight piece where the main warehouse portion is for all the goods and stuff that we house for purchase and delivery to schools. And it takes in consideration a little bit of office space there. So one of the ideas here is, and that original section of warehouse used to house these departments in purchasing, warehouse and technology all used to be in that section. And so I think you could, in that square footage with your size of district, I think you could look at possibly placing a permanent data center here, housing a technology department. If they wanted to do centralized deployment like they do in Linden, computers can be delivered to the warehouse, all of the things that just make sense for those departments to be connected. Certainly could take that into consideration. It could be an option. Could do that there.
So is that one designed as a brick and mortar, or is that another metal building?
Metal building, but it could be either way,
Okay.
right? I mean, metal's going to be a little bit cheaper, but it certainly could be masonry if you needed to, or it could be a mix. You could go up so high, with masonry or stone or something, and then, do metal panels above that, which If you remember our Linden facility, kind of the one, where the main entrance stuff has a little bit of brick veneer up, 4 or 5 to the bottom of the windows, and then it's just metal panels up above. So if you certainly wanted to dress up one side of it or another to have a better aesthetic feel to it, you absolutely could. We would recommend, you have the precast concrete wall that goes all the way around the transportation. We would recommend continuing that all the way around this whole site. So all of your warehouse, service center, all of that would be behind that precast 8-foot wall. So it would naturally already be screened from, people driving by down the street. Yeah, you'd be able to see top portion of the building, but that would be primarily it. This is a facilities kind of shop space, kind of back behind, the warehouse facility. We put it more up front just because it has more potential to interface with the public than, say, the maintenance operation does. But it's tucked here in the back. Similar size building. It's about 27,000 square feet. We have between 30 and 40,000 square feet currently with shop space in facilities in Linden. So it's a little bit less than that. But I think you could gain some efficiencies because we have a lot of just random buildings kind of spread out. And I think if you either did multiple buildings or one big building, I think you could get by, maybe you could even shrink it down even more. And then this contemplates taking this auxiliary softball field away from Westlake, and this would be kind of the yard space for some of the auxiliary materials, where it's landscape material, just general storage for heavy equipment, big trucks, trailers, that type of stuff, but leaving their main field and stuff where it's at. I know, Julie, you and I had talked, maybe we'd have to move that. I don't know that we would in this scenario. I think it could stay. I think what you would look at, and you can see these red dashed lines represent if you ever needed to expand those bus canopies for additional bus parking, that maybe at that time you look at relocating this softball field, and maybe it gets brought down over here on the other side of baseball, and potentially looking at maybe a second turf field or something like that at Westlake, so that they have field space that they can just run lots of different sporting programs, band programs, all the things that needs to happen on those fields from a school's perspective.
So I'm going to ask you a question
Okay.
today. What would it take if we did this? So what's the total cost of everything? If we do everything that you put up there on that pretty little thing, what's total cost? Give me the big number, Frank. You pull out your calculator. And then the other question I have is, this is something I hear about all the time, is bathroom access out there. If we ended up doing it, how hard would it be for us to put like a couple of bathrooms near the softball field? Because I hear about it with baseball, softball, and even somewhat with football. Is there a way that we could add a basic restroom out there
Yeah. So
as
maybe
part of that?
Yeah, maybe we come down here on this corner of softball,
Yeah.
something here, and whether we bring it and tie into the sewer to here to Westlake, or whether we can tie the sewer back into this direction, I don't see that being
So
really
you're telling me it's free?
pretty much
Okay, pretty much.
compared to the
Okay.
rest of it. Yeah, it would just be like,
Compared to the rest of it. Okay, so I'm going to give you a second to work on your calculator. So you're going to tell me what the big number is. Sorry, Board Member Saucer.
I do have a question, but I don't want to interrupt the number crunching.
oh,
So-
ask away.
So in terms of all this, I appreciate all of the planning you shared with us. As you've been putting this together, have you been working in coordination with transportation and the other art departments in terms of just kind of what they'd like to see in terms of the question of like, what kind of garage would they prefer? Those kind of questions in terms of just their functionality of their job. Granted, cost is a factor, but what would they use for these pieces?
Well, the bus garage was originally designed and set up in coordination with transportation at the time. So that's designed with their input on how they would like it set up. So all the things inside is based off of them. Canopies, we know what they want for canopies. Covered parking, it's got power into it to plug the buses in for cold weather months. Facilities, I have a pretty good idea what facilities wants or needs. And Also, just the warehouse space, it's really just a big open building with pallet shelving and stuff in there to store, material to go out. They need bay doors that's a loading dock height and style for semis to bring in products, and then our own delivery trucks to be loaded up and deliver out to schools. There's a minimal amount of office space and stuff there. So I think I have a pretty good idea. As far as a data center, we're just building one right now in American Fork, and the other one's in Linden. We have one here at Westlake. So we have a pretty good handle, since we're just in the process with our technology team building a data center and what that looks like and how much square footage and really what goes into it totally.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Frank, can you zoom out just a little bit?
Yeah.
You've worked a lot of magic. So what would it take to take that retention pond and turn it into a competition swimming pool with a bubble? I mean, I'm just like, you've worked a lot of magic. I think you can pull this
Whoops.
one off too.
Swimming pool there, not likely. That detention basin is collecting not only the transportation site, but Westlake is also tied into that. So it's kind of more of a larger area. It could potentially be more parking. We would just have to design some of it to be more of an underground system, and so it'd go underneath the parking, which we do quite a bit of that at our schools now. And so that's a potential. You could look at doing that and expand parking, and whether that's, more parking for not only, employees there or even for students at Westlake, that could potentially be an option for them too. That may be a really good option. I know we've explored some things at Westlake, but yeah, it certainly could be something we could look at more. All right, Julie. What if it's wrong?
I will hold you to it. You just told me the bathrooms were going to be free. So I'm planning on that. I'm also going to ask you same question about timeline as far as I know a lot of these are metal buildings, so it's not the same architectural design as a brick and mortar, but I'm wondering timeline for design and then construction.
I think you're going to be somewhere about 17, 20 million.
So 17 to 20 million for everything, including the free restaurant.
Yes.
And what do you think about time frame?
Depending on the size of metal buildings, I'd have to check availability, but generally they're pretty quick and they go up quick. I think you'd be somewhere to 8 to 12 months for
Okay.
something like this, just because as most of it's just open. You're not finishing a lot of the spaces inside, including the bus service center and the warehouse space. Very minimum amount of that square footage is actually finished as like office space or anything like that. It's just open.
And I assume that total number means turnkey, as far as that means all the stuff like the lifts, the bay wash stuff, like everything that we would put in it is included in that total.
Yeah, I'm not giving you a number that says, oh, by the way, now you got to
It's
buy
like
all the
you're,
equipment.
you're saying the FF&E isn't all involved in that. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just because that's how we base our numbers, because it's going to go in there anyways. Could you cut some of it down if you didn't want to put some of? Yeah, you could reduce it. And could you slowly add to it? Sure. Yeah, you could.
That was a large number, Frank.
I know. A lot of, you're 55,000 square feet of warehouse and facility space. You got bus canopy plus the service center. Yeah, it's quite a bit. And just the equipment that goes inside of all those is expensive. Yeah. Yep. I was just gonna, I don't know if you are aware of this, but I just wanted to show you this, that this just another piece of land. You're probably aware of this, but the Utah County owns where this is highlighted red. And this is Saratoga Springs city public works building here.
Mhm.
I know the facilities director at the county, and he says there may be some potential where they'd be willing to sell some of this property, specifically maybe for a maintenance yard or something like that, if you wanted it not at the West Transportation Facility, if you wanted to leave more space there.
Do you know what the acreage is, and are they willing to sell all of it or a portion of it?
I think a portion of it, because they're
Okay.
wanting to keep some of it. You know, they're kind of wanting to keep, you know, up into here. They've got the, I don't know, there's some kind of park, I think, RCA type
Yeah,
of
the little plane thing.
little
yeah.
planes and
Mhm.
stuff. Yeah, so I think there's part of it they want to do, but I kind of showed, this is kind of up in this area, this darker red kind of rectangle represents a 10-acre piece. And so they're kind of looking more up in this area that maybe they would be interested in selling some of that. If you'd be interested in that, I only thought of this just because the Public
The
Works
city, yeah.
and our facilities operation and warehouse is almost identical to what they do from a public works standpoint. Our shop spaces are a little bit different, but the type of buildings, the type of things that we're doing is very similar.
And so what can we put on that? I mean, you said 10 acres.
Yeah.
So you think, can we get everything on that?
Yeah, warehouse and facilities
Okay.
are basically our Linden campus. So our Linden campus,
Is it in like 11?
it's 11, but
Okay.
we have that, the front part we're not utilizing.
Right.
So if you think of everything else, we feel like a 10-acre would be plenty for employee parking, yard space, the warehouse space, and I think it would fit your needs for a long time, not just a short-term thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the question right now, right? Like you're talking about if we're going to get 160 buses potentially and adding 2 more gets us to 180, considering the growth we're going to have, that's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And so is it better for us to look at a longer term option? So, okay.
Well, and at this site, these canopies, these 2 red ones could actually expand into double. So you're another 60 buses that could go into here on top of the 180. Potentially in the future, you just have to move that softball field.
Yeah, that block is just a rough go of things between Westlake, Vista, Horizon, ATEC West, Thunder Ridge, Lakeview. Like Transportation West, that block is just, it needs to stop being the center of the universe.
Yeah,
It's a
certainly.
rough go.
It's a full house right there for
It is
sure.
a full house. Okay.
Westlake just have an extra ball field that they don't really need, or are you replacing that somewhere else?
No, just an extra one. Before me. I think there was at some point some conversations with the city about maybe shared softball fields, and so 2 were built. But this one here that's left is the main field that the high school uses. To my knowledge, this one doesn't get used necessarily by the school at all.
In looking at that other location, I'm guessing your quote would be a lot higher because you'd be adding additional, where with the first proposal, you're just adding a couple more garages and a few other things, where if you're taking an entire new site, it'd be replacing all the bus garages, correct? So it'd probably be potentially a lot more, even though it might be a more long-term solution.
Yes, it would be, because you have the administration building, there's 4 canopies that, we need to replace. Yeah, it would be a pretty big chunk of money. And you would need more than 10 acres.
And we need to purchase the land too.
Yeah, you need to purchase the land. But I just wanted to show that. And they may be interested in selling more than just the 10 acres. We just showed the 10 acres just for facilities and warehouse, thinking that maybe you would want to keep transportation there, but maybe you purchase more land and leave transportation where it's at, but you bank that land, and in the future, maybe that gets moved, down there, even if it's just some additional parking for buses, and service center stays, up at the main hub by Westlake. That's all the fun I have, unless there was something that I missed. I think I captured everything on the emails. I know. 30 million plus some bus lifts that we already own.
That you told me the bus lifts you already ordered, and you told me the bathroom was free.
Yep.
I have that on record. Bree's gonna make sure it's in the notes.
Doesn't quite, I mean, it's like a kind of a thank you gift, you know, after.
Oh, bathrooms are a thank you gift. You're a bad gift giver, Frank.
It's good.
You're good?
I'm good.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Frank. We really appreciate all the
welcome.
time you put into this. And yeah, I have a feeling that we're going to be having ongoing conversations.
Yeah, let me know if there's something else that you wanted to see different or reoriented or adjusted. And as soon as I sit down, I'll send this to you.
Okay.
Can I
Thank
send
you.
it- Can I send it to your Alpine?
You can send it to my
Okay.
Alpine when it's
Right.
fine. We still can talk to each other
Okay.
through
Or if,
various email accounts.
all right,
It's good.
thanks.
Thanks, Frank. We really appreciate it. Thank you for all of your time. And I know other people are, I mean, you always get the fun emails from me, but I know that you've got a great team working for you. So just very appreciative of you taking the time to be here and all the work that happened behind the scenes to present that information.
Yeah.
So appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We are super excited now to talk, to have a presentation from our Westlake Cluster Performing Arts. We're going to give you guys a second to do you guys have stuff that you want to share with the computer? Yes. Okay. We love visual aids. Thank you. I mean, I didn't know if it was going to be interpretive dance or if we were going to break out in song. I'm a little disappointed that there's not a flash mob, but I will. Okay. Okay. Things to look forward to.
But they're not going to cost $30 million.
The flash mob?
No, the performing arts.
Oh.
They're not going to come with a $30
Well,
million.
I don't know.
app.
They may come with a huge request after hearing what Frank said. They may be like,
But it was in the right order. Whatever the request is going to be tiny by comparison.
yeah.
And I'm Jason Langlois. I teach theater at Lake Mountain Middle School. I've been there since the school opened. This is my 15th year teaching, and I've been in the district since Lake Mountain opened. And we are here representing all of the performing arts teachers in what will be the Lake Mountain School District. Many of them are here today. Some parents are here today supporting us as well. We've been having a lot of conversations as a team about what do we need in order to continue the success that we have. And we know that you are supportive of the performing arts. We've seen you come to our shows and our concerts and our events, and we very much appreciate that. Those actions show us that you care and that you want to support the arts in schools. And so what we're trying to do now is think about how can we create a strategic partnership with the new district leadership, with the formation of the district, and open an ongoing conversation about what it is we feel we need to be successful going into this new district. I'm just checking. And we feel like there's a space in district level planning where performing arts needs a space and needs a voice. And so that's what we're going to talk to you about today, in addition to why the performing arts matters, which we know you know the performing arts, right? We're not going to sit here and lecture you about it. But it is integral to our community and it's integral to our schools.
So through our 2 high schools and 6 middle schools, we believe we currently serve over 3,000 students. We have some of the largest classes. In overall, that's just the nature of performing arts. But what the students, how they engage and how they learn is something that is unique in secondary education. The impact that the arts have in students' lives show in several successes. These are just, there is usually a 20% or higher graduation rate, 15% reduction of dropout rates, 12% increase in college attendance. Again, there's just the skills that students get through their performing arts translates into success in life with some of those soft skills, with collaboration, with making sure all of the 6 C's that has been in the Alpine vision.
And these come not only from our classroom instruction, but also from our extracurricular and co-curricular activities that we do that are really essential to student learning. It's not, performing arts expands beyond the classroom, and the learning expands beyond just the classroom space in order to reach some of those metrics. So now here's what we're talking
Yes, we're
about.
asking.
Here's what we're asking about.
Is it
okay?
$30 million?
It's not.
We're like, what,
It
this
is
so
not.
good. We're so glad that he went first.
Frankly. So in many discussions that we've had talking about needs that we've seen coming through the Alpine School District, and now where could we really be the best supported going into the new school district, we are proposing a district performing arts director position be created. And our vision here is that we have a knowledgeable person who is knowledgeable in the performing arts and performing arts to advocate for performing arts programs and teachers to district leadership and site administration. And we feel strongly that this should be institutional to the Lake Mountain School District as a whole versus a site-specific position. One, to leverage the smaller size of our district, we have much more greater capacity to for one person to be able to reach and facilitate for all these teachers, and to have it as a part of the foundational values, essentially, of the Lake Mountain School District, because we do know that priorities can ebb and flow with different administrations as they move in sites. And we feel like this position would improve student success rates and would improve teacher retention as well. So we have here linked on here, and you sent this to Julia. We've already
Okay,
sent
I'll
this
send it
to
to the
you.
rest of the board. Thank you.
We have linked here, we're not going to look at it right now, but this document was created by Sterling Keys and Lance Major, who served in positions very similar to what we're proposing right now, where they essentially outlined, here's all the things we accomplished, here's all the things we did, here's all the things we wish we could have done, to kind of get a little bit more in depth into what we're talking about, so we don't take time with that.
And again, to show
Today.
why we feel that it's essential for our continued success to have it at the district level
Yes.
rather than a site level.
Yeah.
So,
So now in talking with teachers, we pulled 3 scenarios from many that are actual things that have occurred with
in the last 2 to 3 years.
within the last 2 to 3 years, that we feel had there been a district level performing arts director, the situation could have been made better, first and foremost for students and also for the teachers, right? So in this first example, a lighting system failure at Westlake High School, very, very close to some performance dates. It's not the kind of thing that can be immediately repaired by district facilities. And the burden fell because of the timeline onto Amy Mori, the drama teacher, to reach out to the companies that can fix it, taking an extreme amount of time out of her classroom teaching and from her directing a show to get a fix, to get a patch, to get something so that this event could happen, right? Whereas a district performing arts director could have been fielding that so that her focus could be on the students where it really needs to be, right? But the reality is, right now, we get pulled in these multiple directions. We have to wear these hats that stretch us quite thin. The next scenario we have talking about choral festivals, right? Choral and instrumental music festivals are essential to students. They're forms of assessment is really what they are. And currently, like in the junior high that we're mentioning here, these festivals are completely organized by the teachers, including scheduling and transportation and lots of back-end work that could be handled by a performing arts director for a district of our size quite well without that burden falling on the teacher, right? So that they're not taking their preparation time or outside of contract hours to do those things, but still have the essential learning event and this essential assessment event for students. And then the last one we pulled up, is in regards to the extracurricular addenda system that we have, which we are grateful for and we hope continues going into our new school district. But there are inequities in the compensations in that. And
Both within the performing arts and then within all of the extra.
yes, thank you. And so currently, to our understanding and knowledge, there's not really a great recourse for us to push upward a means of change, right? Whereas a district performing arts director would be in the district building, would be there to have those conversations and to advocate for greater equity in those spaces, which I believe I speak for all of the performing arts teachers when I say this would definitely help with teacher retention, right? To see some of those inequities leveled out. And so really in each of these scenarios, and these are just 3 amongst umpteen that we could name, where a performing arts director would have allowed teachers to put more focus where it needs to be, which is on student success, and would, I believe, also have assisted with teacher retention. And so now we're going to talk a little bit about some other things that might fall under that purview and other things that the performing arts director could look at as they're part of their job.
So performing arts, it would be helpful if it is hard to hire, in my opinion, a super great performing arts person if they're only offered a half-time position only. I think it's great when we can share at schools. You have a half-time person, and I know that it has to do with the FTE that is allowed within each building and the amount of students that they have. But then also, if the numbers allow, or again, if there are assistants, there are also the reason, we reach large numbers. Jason has 90 kids, 100 kids in a performance, but he's the only one. I often look at when I'm with all the choral students that I have, and I'm like, well, if you compare it with other programs, and there's the coach and the assistant coach and the defensive coordinator and this, and I'm like, that's all of us. We all wear multiple hats, and we're very happy to. But if we had some institutional supports, that would make our jobs a little less burdensome. I think the big thing that we've talked a little bit about the stipends, just trying to make that they're equitable within the performing arts world, as well as what the extracurricular stipends are currently offered as existing in the Alpine School District. The facilities, making sure that we have safe, maintained facilities. We currently, and we again hope that this is a continued plan, the music allocation budget that is offered for secondary music programs that helps buy instruments. We have the 2 largest band programs currently in state. So in order to continue to help, we have to make sure that those music allocations are still maintained, and that we also pay attention to what the junior high needs are in terms of that. But in addition to a music allocation, we would like to see some kind of plan with an auditorium allocation, as it has been currently existing. It depends on site to site, which then depends on your building principal. So they're often like, well, no, the house lights have to be bought out of the drama fund. But why? There are so many things, and they're all really pricey things. And so some kind of plan to help our auditorium spaces be maintained, but there's also safety issues that I think I'll have Jason speak to, because he can do more than that.
Yeah, like there are certain OSHA standard things that need to be happening in auditorium spaces that frankly don't happen every year. And part
I
of
don't
that,
think they've ever happened.
or some of them have never happened.
I think,
and-
Amy said in the Westlake, we're 17 years old, and there's flame something with that, like
Yeah. And part of that, a big part of that is we're not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but a big part of that is I think that there's not necessarily plan for this needs to happen every year or be reviewed every year, or this, we're going to allocate money to these different sites every year, or whatever that rotation might look like. And that's where we're talking about, and we're opening a dialogue, right? That's what we want to do with you, is we want to open a conversation.
We are not asking for $30 million.
We are not asking for $30 million.
I feel like that's just going to be the tagline for this. It's just like the bottom. The bottom is just like, we're not asking for $30 million on every slide deck.
And the other big thing, sorry, do you have any?
No, go ahead.
The other big thing, as we were talking, a lot of us met yesterday during our collaboration time, is that with the performing arts, when we had Sterling Keys, when he was able to do it full time, and then when Lance was doing it full time a year ago, they're able to. They're a performing arts director, but they're also a content performing arts specialist, where they're able to be in classrooms, and especially our provisional teacher classrooms, and to offer them support, because there are things that are unique in a performing arts world. So we have great school mentorship programs, but sometimes when you're talking to an English teacher, they don't sometimes get the needs of a performing arts. So in order to have that person who is able to move around in the school, who is able to dialogue with the district leadership, who's able to go and represent classroom teachers with site administrators, that's really where we feel this is just it's something that we would really value.
So really, this is kind of our key takeaway, right? We provide a core educational experience for students, and it's not just a feel good. These are measurable things that students are gaining from our classrooms and from our extracurricular programs. And we don't want to risk losing that. And I know our communities don't want to risk losing those powerful teaching, those formative experiences for their students. And so this conversation is really about,
We want to have someone in the room where it happened. The room,
Wow.
room where it happened. We knew we were going to sing.
we couldn't not put a musical theater reference. If you're not familiar, this is from the musical Hamilton. And the room where it happens is the room where decisions are made, and the room where, in the musical Hamilton, where America is being formed and the Constitution is formed, right? We have the unique opportunity right now, the district is being formed. And so what we feel would be the most beneficial for us is to have a voice in that room as these decisions are made as an institutional part of the Lake Mountain School. Yeah, that's our pitch. We
So-
appreciate you. Oh, sorry.
Can we ask some questions?
Please ask us questions.
Okay.
That was the next slide.
Questions?
Oh, okay. I just was really excited about it. Okay.
No,
So
please.
one of my questions is this scalable? So I hear what you guys are saying about Sterling and Lance and the role that they played. That was, with Alpine, with 10 high schools, 23 middle schools, we're a much smaller scale. So I'm wondering, is it scalable where we can look at initially doing like a 0.5 FTE in the school, and then that same person's doing a 0.5 FTE at the district level?
I don't know that is the most effective, right? In our conversations, like with Lance Major right now, he still has he's still wearing kind of that hat, but running a full-time program, and his ability to really meet those needs at the district level it's not really feasible, especially if we're trying to run even a half-time position for performing arts is essentially a full-time program, right? Because of extracurricular and co-curricular things. So I think I understand I completely understand the question.
Yeah.
I don't know that is the
But we
my
would,
question-
we would be happy. I mean, if that's start, yay, because that's more than we have now. So I think that we're happy that, whatever you guys can consider, but we think that the best model is if they're just, to do the big ask now and have the one FTE, if that is a possibility.
I know some of the high schools have had either part or half-time teachers doing performing arts coordination. And so I wonder if this position actually displaces some of that cost.
None of that, to my knowledge, is happening west side.
So my other question is, when you talked about things like assistants, are you talking about a certified teacher or are you talking about para position?
What we're talking, like, so, yes. Sorry, that, what we're looking at is like, when you look at like the stipend addendas, and we're not trying to create an us versus them, but like you look at like basketball and there's a stipend for coach and then assistant coach, right? Which I'm assuming those are, I don't know if that is a certified teacher position or if that can be filled by anyone, that I'm not sure of.
Okay.
But that's the kind of thing we're talking about. So like in my musical, I'm working with 88 students, right? I need an assistant, but I can't hire one. I can't have one.
Okay.
And as it currently is now, there's a lot like, so, and I don't know this for 100% sure, but I think like marching band has to, I think the stipend is maybe one assistant, but then they have to hire their additional staff out of their own budget. I don't know that for sure. So
Okay.
that would be a conversation you'd have to have with Josh or Randy. But
So my other question is, you talked about the stipend piece. So if your wishes all came true, I am going to ask you what you think the total for the stipend would look like.
I think it would be equitable with the other extracurricular activities that are.
So meaning like whatever the coaching stipend is for like an athletic coach,
Yeah.
that would be the
To put it in like,
stipend.
you want numbers?
I actually do.
Right. So at the junior high, I can speak to the junior high. I don't know the high school numbers. I know they're a little different. But for example, the men's head basketball coach, their addenda is approximately $2,800. And they get an assistant whose stipend is $1,800. My stipend for running the musical is $1,400. And if we're looking at the student to teacher ratio alone, right? I have 88 students in my musical that I'm running for 10 weeks, rehearsing 12 to 15 hours a week. The basketball team is a much smaller window. Our basketball team this year had 11 boys on it. And they had a head coach and an assistant who both were compensated significantly higher than I am for a significant more amount of work. So that's the kind of thing we're talking about, that making it equitable across the board, because that goes a long way for teachers, because that makes us feel seen and valued and heard.
I think in the high school world, for the majority of us, I think for choir and band and possibly drama, I think that they are pretty equitable. There aren't assistants given. I think drama has a musical, like they have a straight play and then they have a musical one. I think what needs to maybe be addressed then is like the dance stipend. Our dance teacher at Westlake is there with the dance company at 6 a.m. every morning in addition to the classes, but that is not, like marching band is usually given like either that's the bot prep or something, but that's not the same with our dance company. So I think really we just want to be able to say, you know, this new district, we're looking at time that these co-curricular, extracurricular activities are, and that we're doing the very best to equitably compensate. We know dollars are going to be spread thin. We know that. So, but if they can be more equitable between the performing arts programs and between performing arts and the other, I mean, we only have it to compare to athletics, because I mean, those coaches are putting in all sorts of time as well. They just typically have gotten more slices of the pie.
And to bring it back to this idea of a performing arts director, right? Someone in the room, because these conversations are ongoing, and we know that these decisions can't be made immediately. And we know that as we transition into this district, there's a lot of shifting sand. And so having this position created and having this position established as the district is being formed allows those conversations to happen, I think, more organically, and allow them to happen maybe on a timeline that works better, right? Rather than now or never, like, which is not what we're saying. We're not saying now or never. But if they're in the room, right, and they're advocating for teachers, they're ongoing, that advocacy is ongoing versus, a one-time, please give us this, or I guess you don't. You know
And
what I
then
mean?
it doesn't also matter that I teach at Westlake and Kyle teaches at Cedar Valley, and that, but you know, Kyle's principal's gonna buy him new risers, and we're on year 18 on our risers. I don't think he needs risers, but. But I think that has been our experience, is that depending on, there's some of those asks have been depending on who your principal.
We can also throw in free bathrooms.
Yeah.
Okay. So-
The risers do not cost $30 million.
So if you had to prioritize, because we're always prioritizing on a list, would we put instructional supports or would we put the district FTE? Which one is on the top of the list?
I think the district FTE position would be at the top of the list.
That's really, as we have collectively talked, because we feel like having that person who can, again, I mean, we're going back to but who is there having the conversations, then opens and facilitates and advocates for so many of the other things. And as things get planned and as budgets gets planned and allocations hopefully get planned, then again, we come up with the strategic plan going forward. But we can't do that when we're running our full-time programs. That's why we really feel it's essential to have that person who represents arts.
You said at the mic. And I think it's also, there's a benefit to district leadership and to board leadership because you've got that one person that you can kind of communicate that then disseminates the information when there are big questions. We can go to that person who will then, you're not going to be fielding as many calls and requests from everybody individually within the district, right? Hey, Westlake needs this, Cedar Valley needs this. And we can go to that person and say, can you have a conversation? Can you figure out who's the person that needs to be contacted about these issues? It's kind of that somebody to help flow that information back and forth. So I think there's a benefit also on your end to having that person so that it lessens the load for you from all of us to you. So.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And like when Sterling was in his position, we very much had a lot more of that. When there were concerns or questions we had about district policy that we were unaware of, we can go to Sterling and he was able to say, okay, here's the policy, here's what needs to happen. And we can ask questions. We were able to ask questions and he was able to go back and say, okay, I asked so-and-so about this and so-and-so about this. People that we don't know and people we don't have a lot of access to. So that's our...
The rest of these are just, you
Yeah.
know, why they matter. And then these last are, these are some, they asked all the disciplines. We just didn't also always get of, like how many hours are you working outside of contract time? So that is on like with theater and the dance. And then yesterday we just created a Google Doc of these are the needs of our auditoriums in our school right now. That things that need to be repaired and that
Right.
having a plan.
What we're trying to illustrate here is that this is not just a small site, one-off little things here and there. It is a bigger picture issue that we're talking about. And that's why a district level position we feel like would be able to address some of these bigger picture concerns.
So once again, I just want to reiterate, we are so fortunate to have you as our board.
Yes.
We are so fortunate to have the building principals because we know that the arts matter in this district. We see it every day. So we just hope that we can continue and again, just develop the strategic plan to make sure that the teachers feel supported because that ultimately just impacts our students in a positive way.
So can I make one request? I agree with the question that Joylyn asked about the prioritization thing. It would be super helpful for us as a board, I think, to have you guys prioritize the list. Like, you know, like we talked about, if the FTE is number one, if stipends are number two, if the auditorium maintenance is number three, it would help to have like the prioritization list. And then it can be something that we can start having a conversation about, listen, in year one, we can do this. We probably can't tackle the next thing until year 3 or year 4. So there's an ongoing conversation about making sure that we put the money where you want to invest it, because we don't want to have the focus be the auditorium maintenance if you're like, you know, it's like the 10,000 spoons when all you ask for is a knife.
Yes.
Like we want to make sure that we're giving you what the request is. So if there's any way that you guys could kind of work together with your group and create a prioritization list, that would be super helpful as we're developing the budget and prioritizing things to make sure that we're actually supporting what you feel is the most important thing.
Absolutely, we can do that. We work really well together as a Westlake cluster in the performing arts. We are very lucky. I love working here. And so we absolutely can put that together. We'll put that the rest of our team. We'll get that back to you guys with here's a prioritization of our needs.
I know Board Member Lincoln has a
And if you'll just list exactly which programs, because like film and
So we consider,
broadcasting, is that going to be with you, or is
No,
that more
that's
with the
CTE.
fine art or a
So-
CTE? So if just when you make your prioritized list, if you'll also list the programs that are included.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And my quick question is talking about the facilities, use auditorium needs have, and this might be more of a question for Alpine leadership, but is there, in terms of like facilities maintenance plan, is the auditorium needs on that? Like, is there a cycle with that? I would hope there is, but is there not? I don't know if you has an answer. There's
To our
not.
knowledge, there is not that we have ever seen.
So in terms of your theater and your performing arts facilities, you're responsible to addressing those needs and then bringing them up to your administration? Like, how does that kind of works right now?
Generally,
And then,
we go. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
I
you're fine.
apologize. We go to our administration. If the administration has the ability to do it, they can do it. Depending on the administrator, some administrators say, well, that's something you have to take care of out of your own budget.
like
which-
replacing house lights in the auditorium.
because for me, I think that'd be two different pots of money. That's why I was asking the question. So it
Right.
really depends on right now. It's on your basically your site and how it's handled.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
I can sing again. I'm just kidding.
I have to, I was a little disappointed there wasn't like, that's actually one of my favorite scenes when they do like the tablecloth
It is a
thing.
good scene.
We'll practice that for some other time.
Okay, I'm just saying like that was the, like if you were gonna
Embedded
bring
video.
Hamilton, I expected like, I want you to do the birthing, so.
We'll do a singing version of the prioritized list.
Okay, that's
and we'll
fantastic.
get-
Are you gonna wrap it though? Because are you gonna wrap it?
I
Because
don't know
mean-
that we're like,
There you go.
you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for the time that you put into the presentation, for coordinating with everyone. I just am incredibly grateful. One of the things I'm actually really interested in is figuring out if we can kind of do any kind of vertical alignment with this position, because I'm sure you guys are very well aware, we have some really phenomenal elementary programs, but those
That's-
are often very much led a lot of times
Well-
by PTA. And there's not, I mean, some schools do like choir or drama as their specialty, but a lot of times you have a PTA group that's leading it. And
that's actually
Yeah.
a conversation that we had yesterday. And because we're like a district arts, they could also reach out to our elementaries
yeah,
and that
Yeah.
that it is going to be.
and there are, it's interesting because I have, my kids were involved when they were in elementary school, and I continue to go to the elementary production. And I tell people all the time, this is not an elementary production. This is not what you would expect from an elementary production. The level of commitment from parents, sometimes it's teachers who are kind of going unpaid, who are doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. The productions that I have seen put on at the elementary level are shocking as to how fantastic they are.
Well, and I think that really applies to all of the Westlake cluster. Right?
Yes.
The things we're doing in the performing arts, our performing arts are so strong in this area. And I mean, you could say the same. I mean, many of you have been to our junior high productions, and I mean, I'm biased, but like, I think they look better than what one would expect a junior high production. Same thing with the high school productions. You go and see, and you go, wow, these are kids. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the quality of the teachers we have, and the community support that we have. And so now this district support piece, I think, will be able to help us continue that.
I am looking forward to a long partnership to solving all these issues. I think
are we.
I think there's no question you have board support. It's just figuring out how to make the numbers line up. And I know this will be an ongoing discussion. So really appreciative that you guys took the time.
Thank you so much.
Principal Emmett.
Hello. I am Principal Emmett. I'm here to give you a summary of our recommendations for naming of this new school. We would like to first thank you as a board and the Alpine School District, the support personnel, and all of the patrons who have come together to make this school possible. This is a big investment, and we all appreciate that. We'd like to describe the committee formation. For policy, I reached out to all of the school principals at Desert Sky, Cedar Valley Elementary, and Mountain Trails Elementary. And I got the names of the PTA presidents and the SEC chairs. I received recommendations from each of those people, and then I ran those names by the principal again, and I came up with these names here that have been selected for the committee. Heather Hurst from Desert Sky, Megan Bueller from Desert Sky, Ashley Cook from Cedar Valley, Heather Wrigley from Cedar Valley, Terralyn McConaughey from Mountain Trails, Carla Smith from Mountain Trails, myself, and Katie Bowman was the ex officio officer to make sure that we followed policy. We sent out surveys, we sent out paper surveys and electronic surveys to all of our patrons. We collected those until March 4th. We had 145 responses from parents, 252 from students, 83 name suggestions, 62 mascots, and 128 from the students. The naming process and committee work, we met together, we discussed policy, we set norms, we had a small group discussion where we broke into small groups. We had then, in those small groups, we discussed 3 recommending names. We came back together as a whole committee, and we came up with our final recommendations and some mascot options. We wanted to make sure as a tradition that we were following some considerations. So we wanted to make sure that we were considering the many generations of students and patrons, faculty members, community members that would go through the school. We wanted to make sure that the name was unique, that it was not repeating other schools in Utah or the school district. We wanted to make sure that it represented the environment, the culture, and the traditions of the area. And we wanted to make sure that something that the community could unify around. So with that said, here are some student recommendations. The Big Cucumber Elementary, Potato Mountain Elementary, Unicorn Academy, Roblox with Lego mascot, Dizzy the Dust Devil, Goat Elementary with Bartholomew the Goat as mascot, Eggo Elementary, Mountain Dew Elementary, Pug School with Puggy the Wuggy as a mascot, Eagle Cows with the mascot Hippo Cows, Power Ranger Elementary with the mascot Megazord, Pokemon Elementary with the mascot Pikachu, Person School for kids, not a bad idea, the Stand Up School, Fortnite Elementary with the mascot Blue. So, with that said, here are the committee's 3 recommendations. I would like to emphasize that all 3 recommendations are, the committee is totally, they have all been vetted. We feel good about any of these options. And so we would like to present them to you in alphabetical order. The first option for you to consider is Heritage Fields Elementary. We felt like Cedar Valley itself was a valley that had rich history and heritage. We see pictures here of the Fairfield Elementary School site, the cemetery, the soldiers, Camp Floyd is an amazing history that is such an important thing for students to understand. When you go to the Valley, it's such a unique place, and understanding of that heritage we felt like was important. The Pony Express, these soldiers were the soldiers who prospected and found the Merker and Ophir mines. And of course, the Eagle Mountain community, traditions and history that exists there. Juniper Basin Elementary. You can see here I've matched the color of the slide with a juniper. So the colors of the school actually are very similar to the color of a juniper tree. But junipers are special trees. They are incredibly resilient. I've listed here the root system of a juniper tree. One of the reasons why they are so successful is because they have very deep. They have a 25-foot tap root that goes down for years when there is drought, so they can tap into groundwater. But their horizontal roots go 100 feet away from the tree. And the tree can also self-prune and simplify. And so these are qualities that we feel like are worthy of consideration. Juniper Basin is also another way to say Cedar Valley. It's a synonym for Cedar Valley without saying Cedar Valley. And there's one more thought. That's right. The school is located really centrally in the basin. So we felt like that name was in line with the geography of the build. Last is Sunrise Peak Elementary. Sunrise makes you smile. Listed here, pictured here is what the sunrise looks like on the Oquirrh Mountain. You can see the peaks, Lewiston Peak, Flat Top Peak, Kelsey Peak, and Low Peak. All peaks that inspire all of us to aim upward. Sunrise represents a rising generation, a feeling of hope for all of our students. We feel like would be great for them to look to as well. So those are the options. This is kind of the look of the school. This is our color board that we stand. And we appreciate this exciting opportunity to name the school and excited for you to consider these options.
John, we really appreciate you being here. This is your second presentation this week. So I want to express my gratitude to you for making the time to come here. Just wanted to clarify in case there was any misunderstanding. This is actually a vote that will be taken by Alpine School District's Board of Education, not by the Lake Mountain Board of Education. But so grateful that you took the time to be here and make this a priority. Just incredibly grateful for you because I know you've got a big task ahead of you and a couple of things you got going on.
Yeah.
So totally appreciate that. Are there any questions or? Okay, with that, we are done with study session and we will back for our board meeting. Thank you. Okay, so it is 6 a.m. on March 12th of 20. Did I say 6 a.m.? Okay, hi, welcome. Welcome to our meeting. It's 6 p.m. on March 12th, 2026. The Lake Mountain School District Board of Education is meeting. I'm calling the meeting to order. Before we continue, I want to make sure that I excuse Board Member Judkins, who is unable to be here tonight. So I want to make sure that I articulate that she's excused. First up on our agenda, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance, and the pledge is going to be offered by Nixon Hansen. Nixon is a student at Saratoga Shores, and we're super excited. Nixon, if it's easier for you to reach the mic on the table, that's right there for you, sir.
Please stand and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag in the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nixon, thanks for doing that. That was super impressive. We're also excited to have Harper Hansen, who's also a student at Saratoga Shores, who's gonna come up and share an inspirational thought with us. Harper, you can choose to come to the podium or use the side mic, whatever you prefer.
Good evening, members of the school board, teachers, and community. Good evening, members of the school board, teachers, and community members. My name is Harper Hansen, and I'm a fourth grader at Saratoga Shores Elementary. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak today. I'd like to start with a joke. Why did the boy eat his homework? Because his teacher said it would be a piece of cake. I want to talk about something very important to me, community and education. Community is like a big team. When everyone works together, students, teachers, parents, and leaders, we help each other grow and succeed. Our schools are not just buildings where we learn math or reading. They are places where we learn how to be kind, solve problems, and become the people who help our community in the future. A famous leader, Nelson Mandela, once said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." I believe that's true. When students have strong schools, caring teachers, and support from their community, amazing things can happen. Kids discover new ideas, build confidence, and dream about what they want to be someday. Whether that's a scientist, a teacher, a doctor, an artist, or someone even sitting on the school board. But education doesn't happen alone. It takes a whole community that believes kids matter and that learning matters. When you support schools, you are really supporting the future of our community. Thank you for helping make our schools places where students can learn, grow, and believe they can change the world. Thank you.
Harper, that was incredibly impressive. Thank you for sharing that, Harper. That was fantastic. Next up, we have our innovation spotlights. And our first person we're going to highlight is Mike Gowans from Westlake. I think he's behind the podium. I was like, where'd he go?
Is that showing anywhere? Oh, yeah. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Sorry, I was running a little bit late. I've been at the state FFA convention, 2,500 students up there today, and so I had to drive back really fast. I appreciate Board Member Strong asking me to present about the Westlake High School agricultural facilities. Just the picture that I have here, if you want to come over to the agricultural facilities, we have a lot of little baby lambs right now that are being born and everything, so you're welcome to come over and visit. We have some baby goats over there as well. Agricultural education grows the next generation of leaders. by combining science, hands-on learning, and leadership through the FFA to solve the challenges of feeding and sustaining our world. Some of the pictures you see here are from kids from Westlake High School. And we do a little bit of everything at Westlake. We have students that go up on Capitol Hill and visit with our legislators. The picture of the boy and the girl, that is our national FFA Central Region Vice President. She spent a day here with us 2 weeks ago for National FFA Week, and then some of our classes. Westlake High School Agricultural Education Program includes classroom instruction, hands-on learning through the greenhouse and welding shop, as well as the agricultural experiences at the school farm. Our school farm is just on the other side of Vista Heights by the LDS Church right there. The greenhouse at Westlake High School grows poinsettias, hanging baskets, flowers, bedding plants, and vegetables, and we sell those to the surrounding community. They want to come in and buy from our students who have planted all these. We have a great greenhouse. We really, last year, I think we were way over the limit in the greenhouse, and so we had to even expand outside just a little bit. The agricultural mechanic shop, this provides training and welding, construction, and mechanics in our shop. And if you come through now, you'll probably see a great big poultry shed that the ag mechanics kids have built that will be going up on the farm to expand some of the facilities up there. Farm animals at the school farm. On average, we raise 250 animals at the school farm, from lambs, market lambs, hogs, and market goats. The farm also runs a breeding program, including club ewes and club does. This is where the kids get that hands-on experience from animal science and being able to help birth the animals and raise those animals from babies. It's interesting as a teacher, if I'm not there and a lamb or a ewe is given birth, doesn't matter where I'm at, I get text messages or phone calls that this animal's given birth and it might be having problems. How do we help it? It's quite interesting to direct students over the phone through text messages on how to deliver a baby. Each year, we also raise 200 turkeys, and real turkeys. We don't call our kids turkeys, but real turkeys. And we are part of the Utah Turkey Show program. These kids raise them from the end of July until November. And then the turkeys compete in the Turkey Show program. And then the students are able to sell those for Thanksgiving. And I know Board Member Myers, she buys a turkey from the students every single year. And there's nothing better than a fresh turkey. We are in the process of adding laying hens for students to raise eggs to sold for the community. And this is ran by students, okay? We teach them in the classroom, but we have a farm director and several farm chair that actually take care of the farm 24/7. And they call the kids, they help the kids, and we're there to help teach and advise. New this year, we've added a fruit orchard through a grant from Tractor Supply and the National FFA organization. We are raising pears, peaches, and apples, and various varieties along with grapes are grown at the school farm. Students in the program planted trees and learned how to install the irrigation system. And the crops, we have 2 alfalfa fields that we raise hay for the animals. The students do all the harvesting and raising of the hay. In addition, last year we raised pumpkins and had a little bit of a pumpkin patch. And we raised squash and sold sweet corn as well to the community. Students work together in managing the irrigation, harvesting, and marketing of all these crops. With the technology that we have, agriculture is one of the highest technology industries out there. We are now teaching about drones. If some of you went to the school farm, for our farm field days. We had a great big drone there. We're teaching about the technology on how the drones are now used to map out fields for fertilization and gather livestock in hard to reach areas. Along with that, genetic engineering is used to improve crop yields and improve the quality of plants and animals. Stoats equipment demonstrated at Farm Field Days, and we would like to incorporate this into our programs in the future. Agricultural education teaches students how food, animals, and plants and natural resources are produced and managed while building skills in science, leadership, and problem solving. Just a little bit about the pictures we have. This was a set of triplet goats that we had last spring. And sorry, I can't remember what the kids named them. They named every animal up there, and I can't remember what they named them. Kids in our greenhouse, and then throughout the summer, we run a summer ag program, and these students that have raised these animals, we go to livestock shows all around the state, and they compete with these students, and this is one of our students competing with their hog. Several of our board members and community members were able to attend Farm Field Days. This over 1,000 students, and I'm not going to read this, but 1,000 second and third grade students came to Westlake School Farm and went through that program in September. We had 100 of our own students that volunteered and worked on that project, that 2-day event. Westlake FFA program is the largest program in the state of Utah with over 600 students. And I'm happy to say you have 600 students, but you may have 20% participation. We have 600 students, we're well over 60% participation. With 3 advisors, the program has been recognized by the National FFA organization as a National Chapter Award winner for 16 years. We've had 4 state, this is wrong. I'm gonna have to get after my wife, she did it for me. We've had 4 state FFA officers from Westlake FFA chapter with over 100 American degrees just from Westlake alone. That American FFA degree is the highest award in the national organization, 1.2 million members. So pretty proud of that. And this is our officer group right here. That's it. Any questions? You have a loud enough, you don't need it. Julie, you don't need a mic. You have a loud enough voice.
So are the pigs that their kids raise through FFA. We've put quite a few in our freezers. Yeah.
Very big supporter. And
We love
it's known that the kids raise these animals for meat. Sometimes they get tender-hearted when they get sold, but we raise these for meat, and they are great animals. Kids do a fantastic job. And you all are welcome over at the school farm at any time. I know board member Lincoln drives in every once in a while if she sees me there just to talk policy. So, any other questions? Yep.
Thanks, Mike. We appreciate you being here and sharing what's happening at the farm. Yes. Next up, Kelly, we want to invite you up. Will you just make sure you introduce yourself? And we're very excited to hear from you today.
Hi, I'm Kelly Molinari. I'm the Nutrition Services Manager at Thunder Ridge and Horizon School. Thank you, board member, for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here today. I've been the manager at Horizon Thunder Ridge for 5 years. I have a staff of 8 people, including myself, with a mixture of full and part-time staff and a lead cook. I absolutely love my job. I love both of my schools, my staff, my teacher, all of my admins, and all of my students. And I am very blessed that I enjoy what I do, who I work with, and I'm excited to go to work every single day. I serve breakfast and lunch to Horizon and Thunder Ridge. We are one of the largest serving elementary schools in the district. I am also one of 3 current managers in Alpine School District that manages 2 separate schools. We have some challenges and often meet those challenges with creativity. Some of the challenges with 2 different schools is that we have 2 different serve times. Both schools have different start times, different end times. As the manager, I'm also different administrations, and both student bodies have completely different needs. Thunder Ridge nearly has about 1,200 students. Horizon has approximately 70 students. And just to give you a snapshot of what we do, for the month of February, we served 13,527 meals. And that's total. That's approximately 750 meals per day. And that means we serve 6.2 meals per minute. We serve for 2 hours a day, and that is for breakfast and lunch. So as lunch ladies, we only get to experience 6 students per minute in our world. We try to make the smallest impact and connection with those students in that very short period of the day. Sometimes we just say, hey, that's a really cute sweater today. Or I think your hair looks super cute today. Or my favorite, I love hockey too. That's my favorite. So, or sometimes we just say, we're really glad that you're here today. You know what? Thank you so much for coming to lunch. We want to make sure that every student feels welcome. Fist bumps and smiles are a regular part of our day, and the students are always generally happy to see us. As lunch ladies, we wear many hats. We are a part chef, making sure each student has a nutritious meal, knowing that this really could be the best meal of their day. Did you know that we make a number of homemade items? If you haven't had an opportunity to stop by a school and eat a homemade roll, a homemade chocolate chip cookie, chicken noodle soup, please do. It's pretty amazing. I never let the students know that I spend 2 days making chocolate chip cookies for them. But when they come through that lunch line and they know that it's cookie day, the smile on their face makes all that labor worth it. We're also first aid givers, paramedics. I have personally given the Heimlich maneuver in my lunchroom. And the best part, that girl and I, we are best friends. She's amazing. We're part air traffic controllers. Do you have any idea what it's like to get 750 a well-balanced in a timely manner, finding a place to sit, clean up, go outside, manage their lines, guessing how much food they need. And as a manager, I must make sure that I have eyes on every single tray and that that tray leaves our kitchen with a fruit or vegetable on it. That's not to mention all the non-lunchroom tasks of ordering food, inventory, staffing, cleaning, deliveries. I could go on. It's a lot of navigating, and it is kind of like being an air traffic controller. Which brings me to my next task. I'm constantly the fruit and vegetable negotiator. No, ketchup is not a vegetable. And just because your Jell-O is orange, it does not make it a fruit. And as I mentioned earlier, it really is my responsibility to have eyes on every single tray that goes out that line. We're nutritionists. Well, not really. Thank goodness I'm not really a nutritionist. And we have an amazing nutrition services office that gives us tons of support. But having a very large school and a special needs school, we have very many special diets, special situations. And we have differences between common gluten-free, dairy allergy students. We have less common allergies that are carrots, strawberries, mangoes, pineapples. We also have a special that cannot eat phosphates. We have 3 students who get blended meals that either have a feeding tube or swallowing issues. Each of these students have special meals, and they are handled with extreme care every day. Every day, I personally look through 21 trays of these 21 amazing students to make sure that the food they have on their tray is safe to eat. We're caregivers. It's very common for us to give students a hug, in the hall or in the lunch line. They stop and ask us questions. We will stop and talk to them if we see a tear or a sad face. We are always excited when they come to us with their guess what news, guess what happened, making sure that we always acknowledge that in their birthdays and their birthday songs. Eileen has heard the birthday song more than once. We're also event planners. We love Halloween and Thunder Ridge. We do it big. Here are some examples of our Halloween. This is just like the last couple years. We did Jurassic Park. We love to do blow up costumes at our school. I think this was the year that you were there, maybe. These are our kids watching us with our blow up costumes. They love it. We did sharks one year, and we did sharks in the water every time the kids came through. This year we did Welcome to the Farm. It's amazing what you can do with those big rolls of paper in the teacher's lounge, let me tell you. So this is us on the farm this year. So that's just something that we love to do at Thunder Ridge. It's totally normal to be sweaty and exhausted at the end of the day. Some days when you add missing staff members or we have a piece of equipment that breaks down, it can be like a hurricane, but we manage to make it work. Lunch always gets served with joy and hugs and smiles from us. I'm very proud every day I get to leave work. It's amazing what goes into a day. I start at 6:30 a.m. I end at 2 p.m. My kitchen is clean when I start the day. We cook the food, we feed the kids, we clean up, we leave, and the kitchen looks exactly the same I found it that morning. We are a well-oiled machine. I'm so proud of everything that we do. Next time you see a lunch lady, give her a hug. The job's actually a little harder than you think. She'll really appreciate it from you. I really appreciate you letting me take this time and letting you see an opportunity of what it looks like to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. We really appreciate your presentation and for giving us a little bit of a snapshot into all the things that you do every day for our students. Thank you. Okay, next up we have community comments, and we don't have any, so we're skipping over that part. Next up, we have our consent agenda. It maintains our minutes from February, expenditure reports for January and February, as well as personnel hiring. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the above consent agenda.
Okay, so we have a motion by Board Member Saucer
And I'll second.
and a second by Board Member Lincoln. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that appears to pass unanimously. Next up, we have discussion and action items. First up, we have the MOU with the American Preparatory Academy regarding the Cedar Valley Elementary property. We didn't discuss who was going to present this. Am I presenting? Are you presenting?
I can.
Okay, great. Go for it.
And do you want to give me
Yeah, if you want to make a motion, that's great.
I move that we adopt the MOU for the APA on the Cedar Valley Elementary property.
And I'll second.
So we have a motion by Board Member by Board Member Isaacson and a second by Board Member Lincoln. Board Member Isaacson.
Yeah. So just a quick introduction on this action item. The Cedar Valley Elementary closure leaves the property unused. We had these a little additional context. We have a very friendly board in terms of communicating and collaborating with other entities. We're meeting with the cities. We're meeting with the other schools in our area, and so we'd actually already met with and started collaborating with APA, and so they reached out to us and said, "Hey, Matt, what are you doing with Cedar Valley and with the closure?" And they have a plan to build a school out in Eagle Mountain. The state's charter board has approved them for an opening of 2027, the fall of 2027, and they're currently looking for land, a school site, and a construction plan. So the idea that they brought to us was to use as an interim are the property at Cedar Valley Elementary and do a sort of a soft launch for the community. So this MOU is essentially an agreement between us as a district and the APA to lease that property from us for the year or two as they find a site, acquire the land, and then build a school. Nothing's set in stone. We are in just the early discussions period, and this just allows us to go forward with the concept and explore, let them explore how much demand is for their program. Any questions?
Just to clarify, APA stands for American Preparatory Academy at Charter School.
Yeah. And they operate across Utah on a few different campuses, and the closest one to us is in here.
I just want to thank you for the work that was done. I think this is a great collaboration to work with the community to be able to have a building that otherwise would have been just sitting for us. I think it's a great partnership, and I'm looking forward to moving forward with this. Thank you.
And I just wanted to point out a difference to the community so they understand. As a district school, we have to take all of the students in the boundaries. And as the growth gets bigger, then it was going to overwhelm that school. As a charter school, they can cap their enrollment so they can keep it at that smaller size. And so the growth in the surrounding area doesn't overwhelm it. And that was the difference between them being able to operate in that spot and us being able to operate in that spot, is it's that ability to be able to cap and say, we're going to take 28 third graders and not any additional ones, so they don't have to do any split classes, where we would have been forced into a situation of split classes, which is not an ideal learning environment for students.
Thank you.
I also want to mention, we've had ongoing conversations with the town of Cedar Fort because they have expressed interest in leasing the building and eventually purchasing it. Those plans are still something we're moving forward on. This is a short-term plan. And in speaking with the mayor of Cedar Fort, they were not ready to move forward on like this kind of time frame. And so we will still own the building. It still allows us to, consider a future lease with Cedar Fort, consider the sale of the building to Cedar Fort. So it protects all of those circumstances, but it Board Member Isaacson mentioned, it does give us the ability, we're able to utilize the building and it benefits. I think one of the core tenets that we've talked about as a board is this idea of all students. And it's not an idea of all students that are physically in our buildings, whether it is students that we know that are going to come to us, whether that's preschoolers, young students, homeschoolers, charter school students. The majority of students do end up coming back to our schools, whether that's for secondary or another opportunity. We have homeschoolers who access individual classes or participate in athletics and activities. We want to make sure that as a school board that we are recognizing and supporting all the students in our community. And I think that's a commitment that we've made, is making sure that we pursue partnerships and opportunities that we have to make sure that every student realizes that they are welcome in our schools and that we're going to support them. Okay, so is there any other discussion? Okay, so we have a motion by Board Member Isaacson and a second by Board Member Lincoln to approve the MOU for American Preparatory Academy on the Cedar Valley Elementary property. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that appears to pass unanimously. Next up, we have an amendment to the budget. So one of the things, actually, I do need to do a motion. Yep. Okay, I was just really excited to talk about it. Sorry, guys. Okay, so do we have a motion regarding the FY26, fiscal year 26 Lake Mountain School District budget amendment? Do we have a motion?
I will motion that we adopt the fiscal year 26, that we amend the fiscal year 26 Lake Mountain School District budget.
Okay, so we have a motion by Board Member Strong. Do we have a second?
I second.
And we have a second by Board Member Myers. Any discussion? Basically, this amendment is pretty basic, but it's a large amount of money. So one of the pieces of the negotiations that has occurred is that all of the boards have agreed, and it was approved in the Alpine School District Board meeting on Tuesday night. All of the boards agreed for each of the new boards to get an initial allocation of $10 million each. It came from capital dollars. It needs to stay in capital funds to potentially start tackling issues. We got a presentation from Frank tonight about ATEC West, as well as some of the facilities we need to build for physical facilities, for warehouse, all those kind of things. Obviously, that $10 million is not $38 million. So basically, the amendment is amending so that $10 million that we have received goes into our capital budget. The likelihood is that we are not going to spend that. Like, let's just say we go ahead and say, yes, let's spend $8 million on the ATEC West facility. The reality is that we won't spend that full $10 million in the next 3 months. So some of that will also roll over into fiscal year 27. So if you see the 10 million in fiscal year 26 and then you see it again in fiscal year 27, it's not that we got an extra $10 million. It's just sometimes the bills come due a little bit later. And so, like I said, it's just going into the capital account, and then we as a board will have to decide which projects we prioritize and where we decide to spend that money. So that is essentially the budget amendment, is that $10 million in cap. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion by Board Member Strong and a second by Board Member Myers to amend the FY26 Lake Mountain School District budget. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that appears to pass unanimously. Next up on the agenda, we have a discussion item. We are super excited to have people in our audience who've accepted new positions in the Lake Mountain School District, and we want to introduce them to everyone. So I'm going to read your names and your titles, and if you guys are okay, if you'll come up, we actually would like to do a photo, I think, of the district leadership group, and then add one with the board, if that's okay. And then if you have family members here, we'd love for you to have opportunity to take photos with your family. Everybody's good? Okay. First up, we have Michelle Stevenson. Michelle, will you come forward, please? Michelle is our assistant superintendent over elementary. We're thrilled to have you here, so thank you. The next two individuals couldn't be here. We have Kim Romerell, who's going to be our assistant superintendent over secondary, and then Travis Hamblin, who's our assistant superintendent over student services. They were unable to attend, but we want to make sure that we do recognize them. Next up, we have Jason Croton, who will be our director of results and achievement. And then we also have Erin Hale, and Erin is going to be our director of state and federal programs. Okay, so Amanda and Vicky, do you guys want to come forward? And then we're going to get off the dais so we're not awkwardly like photobombing the photo. And then we would like to do a photo with the board with you guys, if you're okay with it. Just go over a little bit. Oh, there. Exactly. Okay, and then. Wow. Shelby, have your family come up and do photos? Oh, we don't want to be up there. Oh, man. And grandbaby. Oh, grandbaby. My grandbaby. Oh my gosh, get up here.
They played us, but we're not blood.
Okay, you guys ready? Oh my gosh, that baby is perfect. Perfect. Jason, Aaron, I didn't ask. Did you guys want to like a photo of just the two of you? Or, I mean, because if you guys want a buddy photo, we could do that. Okay, so next up, that was just a discussion item because we're very excited about leadership team. It's fantastic. We're super stoked about it. Next up, we have a superintendent report. So superintendent, would you like to come to the podium and share a report? And then there'll be time for the board members to share after Dr. Carter's done.
We just wanted to make you aware of our hiring process. A lot of the different districts have organized org charts that are amazingly large. Ours is amazingly small. We're doing it on purpose, and we really are pleased with the people that we have been able to hire so far. We feel like we have a really great team. And as we get new team members, we ask those team members to help us add to our org chart because this is a team endeavor. There is no way that I would ever by myself pretend to be able to figure out the organization, the chart for Lake Mountain School District. I rely on you. I rely on lots of these people too. So I just wanted to make you aware that we have completed our leadership team. It will be, well, we haven't. We're waiting for you guys to decide when to do a BA, and that is strategic as well to save additional funds. And so we'll eventually have a team of 6. Right now we have a team of 5. And we also have 2 other team members that are very, very important to us, our results and achievement and our state and federal programs. They will be located under Michelle Stevenson, who is the the assistant superintendent over elementary. Okay. In addition, we are posting 4 more positions on Friday. They'll go up, and we're excited about that. We tried to be a little bit more aggressive, but that didn't work out. So we're just going to be patient. We're going to post 4 this week, and then we'll see what we can do next time. So people will be able to look for those postings. We are posting those until they're filled so that we can get high quality candidates to fill it. And then we will add more to our org chart. The reason that our org chart is small is because our goal is to push resources to our schools. We really want to put our resources as much as possible where our students are and really look at beefing up our counselor program in the elementary school, our social workers across the district, and also the ratios that we have for our psychologists. And we feel like that's a great place to start. And you know, maybe fine arts will come in at some point, having heard their presentation. But at this point, those are the places that we're really focusing on. And I just appreciate the support of the board and for these amazing people behind me saying yes. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Carter. I think it's one of the things that we appreciate as a board is that this is a collaborative team effort. And as we add people to the team, we are excited to add new voices and new collaborations. So we're just incredibly grateful for that. It's time for board member reports. If board members would like to share any information.
So I just wanted to share something really quick. There's a lot of change going on. We're in the process of change. We're getting new leadership. There's new principals. There's new elementary boundaries. There's a lot going on part of this new district we're embracing here. And I just want to encourage everyone to embrace that change. Today at Eagle Valley Elementary School right now is their night. And one of the boundary changes is affecting, there's about 200 students that are coming from Mountain Trails Elementary School that will be attending Eagle Valley next year. And one thing that happened this week is that the principals and some leadership team from Eagle Valley reached out to Mountain Trails and they invited those new families to come to the event tonight, which sadly I'm not at because I'm here at the board meeting. But just in terms of everything I'm seeing about just the change that's happening and the embracing of what I'm seeing, that change from seeing John Emmett here tonight talking about the new elementary school there, and I've seen the new families for that school. Just everything, there's a lot of change going on, and I just encourage everyone to embrace it and be involved, to get involved in the new communities that we're forming here. So just little thoughts there.
One of the key values we have as a board is innovation. And yesterday I got the opportunity to attend the Meta Grant Recipient Awards. And these are schools across the valley that submit grants for innovative things they're doing. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Vista Heights, the Trailside Elementary School, Sage Canyon Middle School, Lake Mountain Middle School, Frontier Middle School, Eagle Valley Elementary, Desert Sky Elementary. They all received awards yesterday, and we were we're very excited for them and their opportunities and the innovation that they're going to take care of in the next year.
Okay, if you guys will indulge me for a minute, I actually want to share a video of the new high school that I'd like to, it's a, animation rendering, but I think as we, talk about new construction and things coming up, I'd love to be able to share with you guys in the community what's going on. Don't judge based on my task. No judgment. This is a safe space. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of narrate this as we go along. So this is the front of the school of the high school. This is designed more kind of like our middle school design, but just bigger and a little bit on steroids. So this will be the front of the school. It's actually a 3-story. There's a main entrance, a second floor, and then it's kind of built like a walkout basement. So if you've been to any of our schools like Riverview, Black Ridge, Sage Hills that are 2-story models, similar to those. So you see the back of the school. On the north end, you're going to have the auditorium where you see those big glass, that's the cafeteria. And then as you swing down to the south, that's going to be where the gyms are located. I'm sad that you guys are missing the really cheesy music. I'm not actually. So you can see another entrance for the gym space there. There's a massive retaining wall that runs the length of this school because there's about a 60-foot grade drop. And so that's a big part of making sure that there is a level of retention to take into account that grade difference. So this is entering in the main entrance of the school building. The admin offices are to the right and like the counseling's to the left. So it's going to take you down a hallway. They have these different kind of pod systems that are set up. Once again, very similar to like the middle school idea that we have. So this is going to take you downstairs. And you remember on this end of the building, it's the auditorium. This is actually an interesting concept. It's a trophy room instead of a trophy case. We're going to win a lot of awards. So this is the main gym. Got the upper track, similar to what you see like at Westlake, Cedar Valley. Okay, so back at the main entrance of the school, we're turning left. Remember, we're heading now towards the auditorium, but it's actually going to take you down into a pod of classrooms. One of the things that I really like about this design is each pod of classrooms have what they call a huddle space. It's essentially a conference room. So when our teachers are working together to do professional development, looking for their professional learning communities to collaborate, there's actually one of these conference room or huddle spaces in each of these pod areas so that they have an ongoing collaboration space. So that's what you're going to see at the end of the hallway here. It's going to show you a classroom space. Yes, we like to put 40 kids in a classroom because we're going to keep growing. And then that's one of the conference room huddle spaces that's designed in each pod area. Okay, so this is actually the auditorium area. This one mirrors closer to a middle school experience than the high school one. You can see how they've used the design of the mountains for some of the panels that they use for the sound paneling. I think if I remember right, this is going to hold about 1,000 people. This is the main, we're going to take you upstairs to the media center. So this is like the main floor you come in, the auditorium, gym, all that stuff is downstairs along with the cafeteria. This is an upper level that's got more classroom space, and then it's also got the media center. So very similar design of like Sage Canyon, Vista Heights, where you actually can look out from the media center. So one of the things about the cafeteria is when you come in on the main entrance, there's actually steps that go down, and then there's seating areas where students can sit. There's actually the steps are on the side. It's going to show you this in just a minute. The steps are on the side, and then students can actually sit kind of like in the wood area. The other thing is that they plan to design on the floor like a layout grid area. So like, for example, if you have like color guard or drill team coming to practice, they actually will design the tile floor to match that, so that instead of taping the floor or things like that, it'll be built into the design for students to be able to access. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because I think it's super cool.
You know, I find it really interesting balance they have to strike in architecture. the high schools are such a center of the community, more than just the academics or the athletics or the performing arts and so on. FFA, you know, all the programs that use them. I live right next to the school, to Westlake, and it is used morning to night, 6 days a week. There's just different groups that come in, whether it's students or extracurriculars or community events and rentals, and you know, finding the balance of addressing the needs of the core students, but then also being those centers of community, and being big without necessarily being grand. And so far from what I've seen, I love this design because I feel like it strikes that balance really well. And speaking of Westlake, just a shout out to the men's basketball team who took state since we met last, and such an exciting event for them, and congratulations.
I would like to do a shout out to our administrators. I've been to some school community councils, and right now their trust plans are being written and for the next year. And so they're presenting to their school and to the community a lot of data of where their schools are and what they're doing and what their needs are, and building those plans. And they do a lot of hard work to get those plans in so that then they can be approved by the school board. And I've just been very impressed with each one of the schools that I've been to.
Sorry, I wanted to cover one more thing before I forget. I wanted to address the boundary change that Alpine School District, the vote that was taken on Tuesday, that impacted Dry Creek, Saratoga Shores, Springside, Sage Hills, and Harbor Point. I want to clarify something in case there was any miscommunication. This was not a vote that we got to take as a Lake Mountain board, just like we're not taking a vote on the naming of the new elementary school in Eagle Mountain. Joylyn and I spent a lot of time working with Alpine School District staff to create options. I can't remember how many maps there were in the initial meeting, but usually we start with a significant amount, like 4. Then we pull back. There were 3 additional maps that were created. I think there were 3. Yeah. There were 3 additional maps that were created after public input. Boundary changes are really hard. My kids, we stayed in the same neighborhood, and my kids attended 4 different elementary schools. It's the nature of growth. We try to keep students as stable as possible. At the same time, with the amount of growth that we have coming, there's an inevitability that there will be future boundary changes. We anticipate Alpine School District doing a boundary study regarding the new high school this fall. That will lead to potential boundary changes for not only the high schools, but potentially for our middle schools as well. We try to predict out. We have become very focused on creating a 15-year capital plan in Lake Mountain School District. But as Frank shared with us, there's a lot of different competing needs at the same time. We have a lot of schools. We have reboundaried within the last year. We will have reboundaried every elementary school with the exception of 1 in the new district. Part of that is based on being very careful stewards of taxpayer dollars to make sure that we don't overbuild. And I think one of the things that we are committed to as a Lake Mountain board is looking at all alternatives. Our operations and facilities committee has been very focused on looking at alternative builds, alternative options. As we try to stretch taxpayer dollars, we want to make sure that we're being very, very intentional. Like Dr. Carter referenced, we have a very specific focus to make sure that as many dollars as possible end up in the classrooms. And so it is a balancing act to make sure that we can fulfill needs and take care of our facilities at the same time, making sure that we're able to support additional FTEs so that we can make sure that teachers have a fair workload and that students are getting the resources that they need. Okay, any other board member reports? Okay, so we actually do have need of a closed session tonight. Per Utah Code 52-4-205 is needed to discuss personnel, property, or litigation. Do we have a motion to go into closed session?
I move that we go into closed session per Utah State Code 52-4-205 to discuss personnel, property, or litigation.
A second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Board Member Lincoln and a second by Board Member Sasser. we have to do a roll call vote. Please say aye or nay. Board Member Strong.
Aye.
Board Member Did
You told me to say yay and I said aye, so you said yay.
I said aye or nay.
Oh, aye or nay?
Aye.
You guys are the best. I love that you're like, I'm going to get it right no matter what. I love the commitment. Board Member Myers.
Aye.
Board Member Isaacson.
Aye.
Board Member King. Aye. Board Member Lincoln.
Aye.
Board Member Saucer.
Aye.
Okay, that vote passes. We're now moving into closed session and we are closing our meeting at 6:56.